Normal AutoCare. This is a 2020 A-level paper accounting equation question, which is a question number 3. Right? You can see there's a huge question from the accounting equation even in the very recent years. Right? The normal AutoCare is a sole proprietorship, a business which provides the vehicle maintenance services to the individuals and the institutional customers. The opening balances as at 1st Jan 2020 they have given. But this is a sole proprietorship, and it provides the vehicle maintenance services to the individual customers as well as the corporate customers. And they have given the opening balances, and what they want you to do, they want you to record these transactions. They have given 15 transactions altogether. They want to record these transactions in the given equation. What is the equation? PPE plus inventory plus trade receivable plus prepayments and the advance paid plus cash equal long-term loans, trade payable, other payable, advance received, and the equity. That is the basic accounting equation. So you need to record all 50 transactions together with the opening balance, and then thereafter they want you to prepare the income statement, right? Income statement. Okay. So then it's a full question, right? It's a full question from the accounting equation, right? Can you try it? Right. First, you have the format. This is a format that's supposed to be used when recording the transactions in the accounting equation, right? Okay, I hope that you have this. Okay, start doing the question, right? You can see in this question, they have given the opening balances first. So then you know that in accounting equation question, if they have given the opening balances, what we need to do first is you have to record those given opening balances. And after recording the opening balances only, you have to record the during the period transactions, right? Okay. They say property, plant and equipment opening balance is 900,000. Shall we record these opening balances in the given equation? Right? You write here opening balances. Property, plant and equipment. We'll do the question in rupees 1,000. Property, plant and equipment opening balances are rupees 900,000. Then inventory. Inventory means the whatever the materials you need in maintaining the vehicles, right? PPE opening balance is 900,000. Then inventory 160,000 plus trade receivable 130,000. And they said advance prepaid 240. And you got the cash balance of 100. So the prepaid and the advance paid both together you have to record. No, prepaid 240 plus there was advance paid to the workers 34. Altogether it's 274. I add here the two balances, which is 240 and 34, because you need to record both of these two under the same heading, right? And then cash balance is 100,000, right? Cash balance is 100,000. So then you record the assets. Then we are moving into the liability side, right? They say long-term loans 400, trade payables 90,000, other payables. What is the other payables available? 12,000 is the electricity bill, and advance received it recorded separately, which is 10. Then equity balance is 1,052,000. You don't want to calculate the equity they have given, right? This is how you just record the opening balances. Okay. After recording the opening balances, what we supposed to do is we need to record the during the period transactions, right? Okay. Shall we move into the during the period transactions, right? These are the transactions. What is the first one? They say vehicle washing plant purchased on credit basis at a value of how much? 360,000, right? And it's a payable in how long? 3 years, right? Okay. Now, when you purchase a washing plant, so then that you consider as a property, plant and equipment. How much the value of it? 360,000. And Putha, tell me, PPE increase. PPE are what? Tangible non-current assets. What do you mean by the property, plant and equipment? Putha, property, plant and equipment are tangible non-current assets. right? It's 360,000. How did you buy this? You bought it on credit basis. So would you put it into the trade payables or the other payables? No, it has to be recorded under long-term loan because this particular loan you have obtained for a period of 3 years, right? For a period of 3 years. So the long-term loan. In accounting, if it is more than 1 year, you consider as what? Long-term liability or long-term transaction, right? And now you bought a property, plant and equipment, the washing plant on credit basis. It's a 3-year, right? Loan is 3 years, then you consider that as a long-term liability, right? PP increases, long-term loan increases, right? What is next, Putha? We will move to the next transactions. Maintenance material of 130 was purchased but paid 60 in cash. The balance is payable within 2 months, right? Okay. The maintenance material inventory increased by 130,000. Inventory increased by 130, but how much you paid in cash? You paid in cash only 60,000, right? Tell me this is their main material they purchased. Now there's a liability of 70. My question, then out of 130, you bought 130, but you paid in cash only 60,000. So then there's another 70,000 to be paid. My question, where do you classify this? Is it long-term loans or the trade payables or other payable or even advance receipt? Where do you classify this? It's a trade payable, right? You need to consider that as a trade payable, right? This is, you create this liability by purchasing your main material you use in the production process. So then your trade payable increased by 70,000, right? You can't put it in under other payables. You can't put it under the long-term loans because it will be paid within shorter period of time, right? Therefore, it's a trade payable. Trade payable, right? What is next? The maintenance services provided 140 for the individual customer. The cost of the material you use in this respect 86,000. So the how much you receive in cash, right? You received in cash 140,000. Yes, your cash balance increased by 140, and that you need to consider as an income, which is service income 140. You consider that as a service income. That is 140,000. To generate this 140,000 income, you have spent 86,000 worth inventory. Your inventory balance then reduced by 86,000. So that 86,000 you need to recognize as an expense. You call that as raw material consumed. Material consumed. To generate that income of 140, you incur a material of 86. So then your cash balance increased by 140. So then equity balance increased by 140. And inventory used for that purpose 86. As a result, you have utilized 86,000 worth material. So then that you recognize as an expenditure. Right. Okay. That's a transaction number 3. If you can't understand anything, just let me know. Huh? What is next? Transaction number 4. The owner's life insurance premium of 12,000 was paid by the business. What is the accounting concepts you need to apply here? A separate entity concepts. According to the separate entity concepts, both owner and the business are 2 separate persons. And if business incur owner's personal expense, it's supposed to be considered as the drawings. So here, this 12,000 was paid out of the business money. Business cash balance decreases by rupees 12,000, and this is supposed to be considered as a drawings. Then you record it here. Equity drawings. Drawings is an expense. No, drawings is not an expense because that's a direct involvement of the owner, right? Drawings is not an expense. If you can remember the definitions of the conception for the expenses under the conceptual framework, you will clearly identify that there's a direct involvement of the owner. Expenses cannot be considered as an expense. Sorry, drawings cannot be considered as an expense. Drawings cannot be considered as an expense. Right. The fifth one, 45,000 was received from a customer. So then that 45,000 is the amount of money that we have received, and after leaving a discount of 5,000. Okay, tell me then how much of cash you received, Puta? Cash you received 45, and you allow the discount of 5,000. Then by 5,000, your equity balance reduces due to both of these two transactions. Due to the cash collections of 45 and the discount allowed 5,000, your trade receivable balance reduces by how much? 50,000. Your trade receivable balance reduces by 50,000. Clear now? Yes. You collect, you have received 45,000 and discount allowed 5,000, and trade receivable balance reduces by 45,000. Hope you can understand, right? Okay. What is next? Right. And I move to the question number, adjustment number 7, transaction number 7 in this question. Yeah, transaction number 6. Right. We will move to the transaction number 6. The maintenance services provided 50,000 to the institutional customer. The advance received from an institutional customer on 1st January 2020, that means in the previous period, relates to these transactions. And the remaining amount of 40 was received after providing the service. Maintenance material used for this purpose 30. To the maintenance services we provided how much? 50,000 to the institutional customer, and we have received advance from the institutional customer related to these transactions. Hari. Api question eකට giyot, how much could be the advance you have received to the advance received කියලා කීයක් තියනවද opening balance එකේ? You can see that 10,000. එතකොට හරිනේ, very clear. We have received already 10,000 for a service of 50,000, right? Then after providing the service of 50,000, you are about to collect 40,000. So you collected the entire amount of 40,000 after providing the service, right? Now, how are we going to record this? How much the income that you received now? Transaction 40,000. No, you received 40,000 in this month. I thought when I 40,000, this 40,000 you received, you add it to the assets. It's about balance 10,000, liability reduces. Matakada api kata kara when you defining the income under the conceptual framework, due to the income liability reduces. We gave one example as a discount received, and this is another example, right? If you have already provided if you have already obtained an advance from a customer, and when you provide the service, so if you sell the goods, what will happen? It reduces your liability, right? It reduces your liability. Now, while earning the income, you can reduce the liability. Tell me, both of these two, right? The amount you received and the amount that you amount of cash you received and the amount that you reduce from your liability, both you can recognize as an income, which is called service income. Service income. And also the question says, in addition to that, for this purpose, you have used the material worth rupees 30,000. How much of material you have used? 30,000. And material balance reduces by 30, and that you could reduce here 30. So material consumed. Material consumed. You can see, right? You consume 30,000 worth material and generated an income of 50. May income එක අපි realize කරගත්තේ කොහොමද? We received 40,000 in cash, and balance 10 reduces your liability. It's a good transaction, right? Okay, now we will move into the next. Right. Transaction number 7. The maintenance services was provided for a vehicle of an elder home of free of charge. Maintenance material 60,000. There's an outflow, but there's no inflow, right? So nothing you can recognize as an income, but there's an expense of 60,000, right? And your raw material reduced by 60,000, and that you recognize as what? Expenditure. Right? You consider that as an expenditure. 60, you can call that as a donation. Yes, donations. 60,000 was material, right? You have utilized that. Make use for labor cost account. Yeah, we have just used that. You are not using only the material, right? So then definitely you have to incur some labor cost and the other overheads. But here examiner has not considered that part, only the material, right? So then that we have recorded. Clear now? Good. Right. Shall we move to the next one? Transaction number 9. 8, no. Monthly insurance premium for 4,000 was paid by the owner out of his own money. So the business monthly fire insurance premium was paid by the owner. According to the separate entity concepts, if owner incur business expenditure, you're supposed to consider that as a drawings. So the business cash were affected in air because it was paid out of the owner's money. And that 4,000 you consider as additional capital. The 4,000 he bought, you consider as what? Additional capital. And at the same time, this is an expense, insurance expense, right? It reduces equity. Ultimately, this transaction has no impact on the business financial positions or the equity because it increases one component of equity and it reduces other components of equity. You consider this as what? Insurance. When only incur the business expense, ultimately equity has no impact. Right. Transaction number 9. The paid loan installment 67,000 for a long-term loan of 400,000. This includes the interest of 70. So the repayment loan balance transaction recognize you paid 67,000 as a loan installment. When you pay 67,000 as a loan installment, your cash flow reduces by your cash balance reduces by 67, and you are recognizing an expense which is called interest. Why is that? Because the question very clearly says, out of that 67,000, 17,000 is interest. So then interest reduces equity, and the balance amount of 50 reduces your liability. So may 50 given 400,000. Even though you paid 67, your liability reduces only by 50,000. Question number 10. Maintenance services provided on credit 300 for an institutional customer. A trade discount of 5% was allowed at this amount. The maintenance of materials of 150 have used for this purpose. Okay. And this 300,000 is a list price. Right. And how much we received in cash? How much the amount? List. List price is 300,000. And you're supposed to deduct the trade discount of 2%. Out of 300, what do you mean by 2%? Which is 6,000. And how much you are invoicing? How much you invoice? 300 minus this, it's 294, right? You are invoicing 294, right? This is on credit basis. So when you sell on credit basis and you provide the service on credit basis, trade receivable increased by 294. Even though the list price is 300, your invoice price has to be 294. This 294 you recognize as an income. Equity balance increase by rupees 294,000. Right. So for this purpose, how much the material you have consumed? It's 154,000. The material you consume 154, then by 154, your material will reduces. That you recognize as an expense. Material consumption. Material consumed 154. You can see you provided you have consumed 154,000 with material and generated an income of 294,000. Right. Question number 11. Monthly salary of workers 84 and the balance amount was paid after deducting the salary advance at the as at 35. Appo salary advance kiyala amount ekak gewala thiyena. How much you have paid as a salary advance? If you move into the question directly, salary advances, how much? 34. We have paid 34,000 as a salary advances to the employee. 34,000 we have paid as a salary advance to the employee, right? So 34 අපි ගෙවලා තියෙනවා. මෙන්න මේ advance paid එක ඇතුලේ මේ 274 ඇතුලේ ඒක ඇති. right? ඊළඟට අපි තව කීයක් ගෙවනවද පුතා? Monthly salary of 84, monthly salary of the workers was 84 and the balance was paid. පුතා අපි monthly salary විදියට මෙයාට ගෙවන්න ඕනේ 84,000. We need to pay them 84,000. 84 ගෙවන්න ඕනේ. ඒක අපේ expenditure එක. හැබැයි එකෙන් අපි already paid an advance of 34. එහෙනම් how much we are supposed to pay? 50,000. අපි සල්ලි වලින් ගෙවන්න ඕනේ කොච්චරද? 50,000. Right. Okay. How are you supposed to record this then? පුතා මේක ගෙවලා තියෙනවානේ. දැන් 84 තමයි salary එක, but out of 84,000, 34,000 you have already paid as an advance and we recognize that amount as an assets already. You can see this 274,000 includes that 34 that you paid. එහෙනම් that assets will now be reduced, and at the same time you are paying how much? 50,000 in cash. You pay your cash by 50,000 and the total expenditure you recognize it's how much? Right. Total expenditure you pay 84,000 salary. පුතා අපි advance එකක් ගෙවලා තිබ්බා. ඒ advance එක නිසා අපිට 84 වලින් out of 84 you don't want to pay the entire 84 in cash because you have already paid 34 as an advance. So that advance now be reduced and then your cash balance become okay, your cash payment only 50. So then that you recorded 50 there. Clear now? Transaction number 11. Then you get the transaction number 12. Electricity bill payable on 1st Jan 2021 was paid. මට කියන්න 1st Jan 2021 electricity bill payable එක pay කරලා තියෙනවා. 1st Jan 2021 electricity bill payable කීයද? මේ 12,000 තිබ්බේ පුතේ electricity bill payable නේ. other payable මේක ගෙවලලු. ගෙවනවා නම් your cash balance reduces. If you pay, your cash balance reduces by rupees 12,000. If you pay opening liability, your cash balance reduces by 12,000. Right. And it's not an expense, මෙතන මේ 12,000 not an expense. This 12,000 is the other payable. When මේ liability එක අපි settle කරනවා. එතන පුතා there's no any expense but there's a settlement of liability, other payable, right? rupees 12,000. ඊළඟට question එකේ කියනවා this month electricity bill 11,000. ඔන්න දැන් what is accounting concepts we apply here? Accrual concepts. Whether you paid or not, the amount relevant for the period you recognize, right? Now the amount you paid 12,000, but 12,000 is not relevant for the current month. It is relevant for the previous month. Therefore, you recognize it for the previous month. So this month electricity bill is rupees 11,000, right? Electricity bill 11,000. Then your equity balance reduced by 11,000. How do you call? Electricity bill, right? But you recognize that as an expense. Then you recognize a payable of 12,000. Sorry, 11,000. You recognize expense of 11,000. Electricity bill received but not paid. Whether you paid or not, you recognize expense. If you paid, your cash balance reduces, but here not the cash balance, but the other payable accrued electricity bill will increase by 11,000. Is that clear now? Yes. That is transaction number 12. Then you get the transaction number 13. Right. Right. Shall we move to the transaction number 13? Maintenance materials of 8,000 was damaged and they were sold on cash for 3,000. Maintenance material costing 8,000 was damaged and they were sold for 3,000. 8,000 damage material, so that you recognize as an expense. No, raw material damages you recognize as an expense. Material decreases and here you reduce the material. You say raw material damages you recognize as an expense. And also you received how much? 2,000 in cash by selling the same damaged material, and that you consider as an income. However, like a normal income make salvage, sale of salvage, sale of salvage 2,000. So then it increases equity. It increases equity by 2,000. Clear now? Yes. Transaction number 13. Then shall we move to the 14? The received 14,000 from a debtor which was written off in the previous month. Can you all remember in the theory classes we have discussed, if you recover the impairment losses or the recovery of impairment losses, you are supposed to recognize as an income in the year of receipts. Recovery of impairment losses supposed to be recognized as an income in the year of receipts. Income consider. That was solved for 3,000. Sorry. But this was solved for 3,000. Okay. Thanks, Vita. Not for 2,000. And you receive the cash 3,000 and sale of salvage rupees 3,000. Right. The next one they say then, yeah, the recovery of impairment losses. Recovery of impairment losses supposed to be recognized as an income in the year of receipts. May already income consider. And you received 14,000 in cash. Cash balance increased by 14,000. And that you consider as an income 14,000. How do you call it? Recovery of impairment losses 14,000. Right? Cash balance increases, equity balance increases by 14,000. Is that clear? Right. The rent of the business premises 20,000 per month. Prepaid rent as at 1st Jan 2020 represent the rent paid for the calendar year of 2020. Right. May month right. Then annually we need to pay right. Make up month right. Okay. Then api 20,000 gane kiyak gewala tiyinawada? If you move into the opening balances as a prepaid rent, we have paid 240. අවුරුද්දටම ගෙවලා තියෙන එකපාර. But we are doing the question for a month. අවුරුද්දටම ගෙවලා තියෙන දේ කියන්නේ 20 into 12. Monthly 20,000 for a year. There are 12 months, then 20 to 12, it's 240. You have paid the whole amount of 240 and recognized as an asset. But during the period, we have utilized 1 month of it. And I made 240 waliin puta, right? Transaction number 15. From this 240, you have utilized 20, and on that assets reduces. On the other side, equity balance reduces 20. How do you call it? Rent expenditure. Look at the way that we apply the accrual concepts. Whether you paid or not, the amount relevant for the period, we are supposed to recognize as an income, right? Whether you paid or not, the amount relevant for the period. You are doing this for a month, the amount relevant for the period is only 20. Prepaid 240 method, you got 240 here, no? From this 240, and you are reducing 20 during the current month. Next month, another 20. The next month, another 20. Likewise, you are reducing the whole amount over the period of 1 month, 1 year. And the utilized amount you recognize as an income. Sorry, expense. Okay. Now complete up to this point. And after that, they want you to prepare the income statement, right? I'll give you a minute to complete the question and raise the question if you have any, right? Complete the answer and raise the questions if you have any. Hurry up. Right. So, what's the next requirement of the question? They want you to calculate the income statement of the normal or Tokyo. Then you could say normal Tokyo income statement for the month of January 2020. Right. Okay. So now this is not a trading business. They provide the service and generate the income. Therefore, they can't have the sales. Sales nane. Habai, they will have the service income. How many times they have generated the service income? This 140. Yeah, this 100. Sorry, this 50. And yeah, here also this 294 is also service income. You call that as service income. That's all, no? එච්චරයි නේද අපේ service income එක තියෙන්නේ පුතා. මේක sale of salvage අපි මේකට ගන්නෙ නෑ ආ. We don't consider that. Right. එහෙනම් service income you have generated how much? It's 140 plus 50 plus 294. 140 plus 50 plus 294. It's 484. So I'm making adu karanna one material consumed. What are the how much the material that you have consumed, right? Make it 86,000. Material consumed. ඊළඟට A service එක provide කරන්න ආයි අපි material consumed කරලා තියෙනවා පුතා 30,000, and then you have used the material consumed 54. ඒ අර raw material damages donations අපි මේ category එකට ගන්නෙ නෑ right. එහෙනම් මේ matching concepts මේ income එක earn කරන්න generate වෙච්ච materials use කරු material එකේ 86,000 plus 30,000 plus 154. So all together you get the material, it's 86 plus 30 plus 154, which is 270,000. And you can get net service income you generated raw material. Yeah, it's It's 240. එහෙනම් පුතා මේකට ගන්න other income. And the expenses. But again, what will be the other income? Making no other income, no? There's a recovery of impairment losses. Yes, there's a recovery of impairment losses, so that you consider as another income. Other income. Any income other than the main income you consider as other income. Then you get recovery of impairment losses. It's 14. And sale of salvage 3,000. That is also an income, right? Sale of salvage, it's an income. Other income, right? So the main income, the normal sale and this 4,000 is an additional capital. It's not an income. Yes, that's all. Only those two things you recognize as an income. Then all others you need to recognize expense, right? Okay, what are the expenses for the? You get first discount allowed. Discount allowed you can recognize as an expense. It's 5,000. Donation 60,000. Donation 60,000. Then insurance 4,000. You get insurance 4,000. බලන්න අපි expense column එකේ equity column එකේ දාලා තියෙන්නේ පුතා only the amount relevant for the period. Then you can directly trace it. Insurance 4,000. And then you are supposed to get the interest. Interest 17,000. Loan එක ගෙවද්දි 67,000 ඇතුළත තිබා interest. Interest is also an expense. 17,000. Then salary 84,000. Some of these expenses you have paid, some of these expenses you haven't paid. Right? Yes. Salary 84,000. You consider as 84. Then electricity bill is also an expense. That is 11,000. Electricity bill 11,000. And raw material damages, right? Raw material damages, how much? 8,000. Again, salvage income consider kara, and that you recognize as an expense. Raw material damages. That is 8,000. And rent expenditure 20,000. How much the rent expense? Yeah, that is 20,000. Rent expense 20,000. Right. Now everything is fine. Okay, all the income and the expenses we have taken. Net service income you generated 214. And so then you get the other income of 17. Then what are expenses? That's 209. How about the profit for the period? Profit for the month. For the net service income 417 plus 214 plus 17 minus this. And profit for the month rupees 22,000. Profit for the month, the amount that owner can take away from the business 22,000. Right? Okay. Could you complete this? We have prepared the income statement of the Namal's business for the month of January 2020. Service income they have given 484. The raw material consumption 270. So then you get the net service income of 214. And other income you generated 14,000 and 3,000, altogether 17,000. Expenses, what are the expenses you recognize? Discount allowed 5,000, donation 60, insurance 4,000, interest expense 17, salary 84, electricity bill 11, raw material damages 8,000, and the rent 20,000. All with the total expenses 209,000, and the profit for the month will be 22,000. Right? You can see here the additional income and the drawing you won't consider as an income or expenditure. Right? Okay. This is all about 2020 accounting equation past paper question. Right? Okay. Right. Thank you, everyone.